Dre, you know, a great record here in Moto2 in particular. One win and a terrific battle for second place. I'm not sure about that shoulder. He's one hell of a tough guy, and I think it was at Le Mans he rode when he had the problems, wasn't it, with the shoulder when he dislocated it for the first time, because he did it in a test, didn't he, at Mugello. And he said, oh, I don't know what's going to happen this, and he got involved in a race with Marquez. He didn't give a monkey's about his shoulder. He was
okay while he was in a fight, wasn't he?
Yeah, remember, exactly right.
He contemplated pulling in while he was on the track on his own, because he thought, well, there's nothing to really fight for here. I'm in so much pain. Then Marquez came on the scene after a bad start. And then it was like, I think there was like, was it 17 overtakes they made between them in about 3 laps? It was crazy action between Iannone and Marquez, not for the first time. Dylan?
Well, guys, I'm actually just down here with Paolo Ciabatti from Ducati. Paolo, we were just talking about how Andrea, when he's in a fight, when he's in action, he doesn't seem to feel much pain. Is that what you've told him today? Mix it up with the front boys and you'll be okay.
Well, you know, he's doing a great job considering conditions. I think he got some help from Clinica Mobile to go for the race, and we hope it's going to be okay until the last laps.
And what about Dobby's fortunes? He's been struggling so far this weekend. Did he find something in warm-up?
Warm-up was slightly better, so obviously he doesn't have an easy start because he's starting from 5th row. But if he gets a good start, I think he can stay with the group, probably 4th, 5th position. That will be the target today.
Great, thank you very much, Paolo.
Well, there is Danny Pedrosa. First time he's been off the front row of the grid at Aragon in MotoGP. But he's a race winner here. He's in the middle of that second row. In his whole Grand Prix career in MotoGP, he has won a race. He hasn't this season. Could this be the time? And what about Valentino Rossi? Not a great record here at Aragon, but there's no better man in the world to defend a 23-point lead in the championship.
Yeah, Aragon and Circuit of the Americas in Austin, the only 2 tracks now on the Grand Prix schedule where Valentino Rossi has never won a race. You can see him on the big screen. That's why you can hear the crowd in the background. Rapturous reception for Rossi. First time he missed the podium in Misano last time out, since he crashed out of the race here last year on lap 4 up at turn number 7.
Well, guys, I'm actually just down here with the man who's charged in a way, beating Valentino with Wilco Zeelenberg. Wilco with Jorge Lorenzo. These conditions, Wilco, they must surely suit Jorge. I mean, he's looked so strong all weekend. Is he going to make life very tough for Valentino?
Well, you know, we are waiting for this weather already for 2 races, so I'm happy it's there. But, you know, you don't have guarantee at all during races. So, but anyway, it's better, I think, than a rain race or an intermediate race. And, you know, he can battle and he has the speed to do well, so that's good.
From what you've seen, do you still think his main rival will be Marc, or do you think Danny and Valentino can mix it up?
No, I think it depends a little bit on the grip level and the situation of the track, and especially on halfway the race, if the tire drops a lot or not. But it's clear that Marc has the pace, and you know, those 2, in my eyes, will probably disappear a little bit. But with Valentino, you never know. He's so strong and smart, and you know, on Sunday he always have something special. So it could be that he's there, but also I have to say Danny did a great job this weekend, and we hope he's there as well, because also we need him a bit, you know.
All right, thank you very much, Wilco.
Yeah, don't they need him? He's exactly right. Well, of course he is, Wilco Zeelenberg.
2 things he made a great point there. 1, never write off Valentino Rossi, and 2, we need some help from Danny Pedrosa. Great points.
Cal Crutchlow qualified in the middle of that 3rd row of the grid, that 3rd place last year, his only podium of the season, riding the Ducati, currently 10th in the World Championship. Played a British support here. Jorge Lorenzo returns to the fray. Big race for Jorge Lorenzo, this one. You can't take anything away from it. He really has to beat Valentino Rossi, and to even better to win the race, to get into those 3 races in 2 weeks. There's 75 points up for grabs, starting at Motegi in 2 weeks' time. He doesn't want to be further behind than he is now.
No, he said right from when we first arrived here in Aragon on Thursday morning, forget about what Marc Marquez is doing, forget about Danny Pedrosa. If he has to finish second, then he has to finish second, but it's all about beating his teammate Valentino Rossi. He can't afford to lose more points going into that crucial triple head of the flyways in Japan, Australia and Malaysia.
To the 4th row of the grid, this is Yoni Hernandez. who got through qualifying 1 into qualifying 2 on that Pramac Ducati. Both the Pramac Ducatis did, him and Danilo Petrucci. So he had qualified in 11th place and will start from the middle of that 4th row of the grid. And on the outside of that 4th row of the grid, Maverick Vinales, who won the Moto2 race here last year.
Yeah, 3 starts here in Aragon for Maverick Vinales and 3 podium finishes. He was 3rd in the 2011 125 race, 2nd in 2013 in Moto2, and then winner from pole position in Moto2 here last year. Of course, he was probably going to have 4 podium finishes in 4 starts. You remember his bike broke down on the warm-up lap, didn't it, in 2012?
Wow, that's a long time ago. Had a difficult old time of late, as have the Suzukis, but he's running 11th in the World Championship. Concentration, no rain to worry about. Let's get on with the battle. Surely it's going to be a confrontation between Marquez and Lorenzo. What will Rossi do from that 2nd row of the grid? Can Iannone get involved? What about Danny Pedrosa in the middle of the 2nd row? Pol Espargaro will probably make a good start. Bradley Smith, even from the 4th row of the grid, will make a decent start. But it's tight and difficult into turn 1.
It is really tight and difficult into turn 1. It is going to be crucial about the start. Can Marc Marquez get the whole shot?
Well, guys, I'd just like to bring in someone else's opinion. I'm down here with Ian Hutchinson. You might know him. He's had a bit of success in the TT this year. Ian, obviously, a close fight for the championship. Marquez on form. Who would you put your money on?
I think today it's going to be very close between Marc and Lorenzo. And also Valentino's riding amazing this year. So, yeah, it's probably going to be a very close race.
From a racer's mentality, what would these guys be thinking heading into that crucial turn 1?
To get through turn 1 safely, I think. But I think Lorenzo is going to be gunning for it today. He has nothing to lose, really, other than getting hurt. But, you know, for the championship, he has to try win. So I think Lorenzo is going to be the strongest.
And thank you very much for that, Ian.
Yeah, good to hear from Ian Hutchinson. What a brave boy. Oh, is that Maverick Vinales? He's already been up in one, hasn't he?
3-race experience flying in an F18 fighter jet. It was normally, what, an hour and a... The base was in Zaragoza, wasn't it? It's an hour and a half drive from Zaragoza to Aragon. He did it in about 10 minutes,
10 minutes, he said, didn't he?
Yeah.
And the sick bag, I believe, was used at one point. Said it was the experience of a lifetime. What a ride by Scott Redding into 3rd place in Misano. Spoke to his friend last night, put £30 on at amazing odds and received from the bookmakers £22,500. Thank you, Scott, he said.
Yeah, he's got a friend for life now, hasn't he, Scott Redding? The first rider in 7 years in MotoGP to crash in a race, remount and finish on the podium. That was Casey Stoner all the way back at Laguna Seca in 2008 when he was locked in that great battle with Valentino Rossi. Great weekend so far from that man there, the 29-year-old Irishman, Eugene Laverty. 15th place on the grid. Not his best qualifying of the season, but the first time in 2015 that he's qualified the top open class rider.
As you can see, it's a barren old countryside out there as the 2 fighters make their way over the crowd. This is going to be a fight. You're going to need that sort of power boost, I think, to win this particular battle.
If Maverick Vinales needed any more encouragement, that one of the planes actually had the number 25 on one of its dorsals.
Oh, fantastic.
They'd like a bit of a F18 power in that Suzuki.
Yeah, that's right. They need a bit of extra power, don't they?
As Nicky Hayden, not been an easy weekend for the American, though. Good qualifying performance by Hayden, his best qualifying since Le Mans, of course, riding with that broken right thumb that he picked up in a mini-moto training accident in between Aragon and Misano. So it was a good actual qualifying day for the Aspar Honda team, with Laverty top open rider in 15th.
Alongside him on that 6th row of the grid, Stefan Bradl had some major clutch problems with the Aprilia on Saturday morning, but he was 5th here in 2013 and 4th here last year, and confirmed he will be with the team next year. So a big boost for the former Moto2 world champion.
He had a big race for his Aprilia teammate Alvaro Bautista a little bit further down the grid in 2030. It's a 100th Premier Class appearance for the Spaniard.
Mike DiMeglio, he is qualified on the outside of that 6th row of the grid. The Frenchman, of course, thought he might see the latest French world champion in action. We won't tell you what happened in Moto2, but of course a former 125cc world champion himself.
There's his teammate Hector Barbera. He's fallen behind Loris Baz in the Open Championship rankings for the first time after Misano. That career best 4th place from Loris Baz. The gap between the Spaniard and the Frenchman now 5 points. 5 cup finals is how Hector Barbera described these last 5 races. He battles to be the top Open rider in 2015.
Here is Jack Miller. Not good memories of this circuit for the young Australian who was battling for that Moto3 World Championship. Collision at turn 16, wasn't it, with Alex Marquez, who went on to win the title. Probably played a very big part in Jack Miller not winning the world title. Closer and closer we get to round 14 of the 18-round MotoGP World Championship.
Oh, Marquez is down! Marquez has crashed out. Valentino Rossi, the doctor.
He's simply unbeatable.
Marquez is up the inside of Rossi. Oh, Rossi just holds firm. Rossi's through the gravel. Rossi's going to win the race.
Victory number 5 of the season. Rossi makes a move up the inside of his teammate. Listen to the crowd.
Marquez has crashed. Marquez is down.
Salute the master. Rossi is back out with the slicks.
Disaster for Lorenzo. He's crashed out.
Marquez wins. You are about to find out.
Oh, I've got goosebumps now after that.
I've gone all funny. Fabulous stuff. Marc Marquez in pole position. Alongside him, Jorge Lorenzo and Andrea Iannone. Espargaro, that's pole. Pedrosa and Rossi. Couldn't be closer. 23 points separate Valentino Rossi and Jorge Lorenzo in the championship. 5 rounds to go when we leave here. We're on our way to Japan, where we have 3 races in the space of 2 weeks. Here is the front row of the grid. Let's look at that tyre selection. It is not going to be difficult this time round. So, Andrea Iannone has qualified 3rd fastest despite that dislocated shoulder. In the middle of the front row, the man who won the race for Yamaha last year. But in pole position, he decimated the lap record. It's Marc Marquez. So welcome back to Motorland Aragon. I'm Nick Harris, sitting alongside me, Matt Burt, down in pit lane, Dylan Gray. This is going to be some race.
Front row, Marquez, Lorenzo and Andrea Iannone. Row 2, Pol Espargaro ahead of Dani Pedrosa and the World Championship leader Valentino Rossi.
Row 3, Aleix Espargaro was second here last year, Cal Crutchlow and Danilo Petrucci. Row 4, Bradley Smith, second in Misano, Yoni Hernandez and Maverick Vinales, who won the Moto2 race here last year.
The 5th row headed by Andrea Dovizioso, Misano, 3rd place man Scott Redding, 14th Eugene Laverty, top Open rider in 15th. Row 6, Hayden, Bradle and Demeglio.
Row 7, Hector Barbera, Jack Miller and Alvaro Bautista on his 100th Grand Prix appearance. Loris Baz, Karel Abraham and Alex De Angelis in row 9. Welcome back to Grand Prix racing for the former Moto2 world champion, Toni Elias.
23-point gap in the World Championship between Rossi and Lorenzo. A massive 23-lap race coming your way here in Aragon.
Final sighting lap for the riders to let them get out of the way. Do you remember 2 weeks ago? Well, suddenly we saw some spots of rain. Dylan, I don't think that's going to happen this time.
No, please don't mention that word again for the next hour or so. No, it's absolutely perfect. We have glorious sunshine here, a little bit of cloud cover about, but these are probably the best conditions we've had all weekend. Not too hot. You know, the track temperature is absolutely perfect. As you said, most of the guys, the protagonists on those medium front, medium rear tyres, is not going to be decided by making the wrong tyre choice, so we're set for an absolutely fantastic race.
We can feel the tension in here. I'm sure you can out there. Look at that crowd attendance, 67,122,000. This place, with no disrespect, is in the middle of nowhere. This is a pretty isolated region. That is a massive crowd for Motorland Aragon. Who wouldn't want to be here for the championship the way it is? It's crackling, Dylan, isn't it?
No, it's absolutely amazing. You just look down the main straight, even in the pit building here, it's absolutely rammed. I cannot remember it being quite like this in the past years.
Dani Pedrosa, what part will he play in this race? What part will he play in the outcome of the world title?
Well, we know what part Jorge Lorenzo would like him to play, because we heard from Wilco Zeelenberg on the grid. They need a favourite from Dani Pedrosa. Can he get in front of Valentino Rossi? Crucial points up for grabs in the championship chase.
So, final sighting lap for the riders. Crucial race, 5 to go. Rossi has only qualified on the second row of the grid in 6th place. In pole, Marc Marquez, his 3rd successive MotoGP pole here. And if you didn't need reminding, 23 points separate the 2 Yamaha riders. The sun is shining, everything is set for a magnificent round 14 of the championship.
Cool, look at the tension on the face of the factory Yamaha boss, Lynn Jarvis. You can cut the atmosphere here with a knife in Aragon. 23 laps coming up at the 3.155 miles circuit. Iannone, Lorenzo, Marquez, weight poised for the action.
5 to go. This is round 14. We're at Motorland Aragon. 23 laps of this demanding, spectacular circuit in northeast Spain. Green flag at the back, red flag goes away. Can Lorenzo make one of those special starts? Here we go in Aragon.
Lorenzo did make a good start, so did Marc Marquez, but Marc Marquez has dropped back a few places. Lorenzo's going to get the whole shot. Iannone up the inside of Marc Marquez. Pol Espargaro holding 4th place. Iannone has crucially got into 2nd place. Great chance now for Lorenzo to make his break.
Lorenzo will be at it now. There is absolutely no doubt about it. Great start by Lorenzo. Not the start you wanted to see from what Marquez wanted to see. And Iannone, despite that dislocated shoulder, up into 2nd place on the Ducati.
Yeah, Marc Marquez looked like he got an initial good launch off the line. He's up the inside of Iannone at turn number 7. He's got to make a move pretty quick as the 22-year-old Spaniard. Otherwise, Jorge Lorenzo will be long gone into the distance. Dani Pedrosa now up into 4th place ahead of Pol Espargaro. There's Valentino Rossi still in 6th place under pressure from a late Espargaro.
Marquez has done it through turn 8, now 9, this long succession of left-handers. Lorenzo where he wants to be, in the sunshine. But Marquez has got into 2nd place. He will give it absolutely everything to prevent Lorenzo getting away at the front.
Rossi was having a look up the inside of Pol Espargaro down into turn number 12. Rossi has made that move. Rossi up into 5th place. Marquez was a little bit wide going on the braking zone down into turn 12. This is music to the ears of Jorge Lorenzo. He's won all of his 5 Grand Prix this year from start to finish. Is he going to make it a Super 6th?
This is where he would like the flag to come out here and now. Boy, Lorenzo, this is the dream result for him. Of course, we've got a long way to go. 340 kilometres an hour, 215 miles an hour as they break down to 3rd gear into turn 16.
I was just going to say what we started talking about earlier on. Lorenzo to complete the 1st lap. Marquez looked like he got a good initial launch, and then it looked like when he went to click 2nd or 3rd gear, it had a problem because he did just drop back slightly, and Andrea Iannone swept up the inside. So Lorenzo leads. Valentino Rossi, this is what happens when you start on the 2nd row of the grid. Rossi mired back down in 5th. He's already over 2 seconds behind Lorenzo.
Yeah, not the start obviously he wanted. Certainly he didn't want the Ducati, and he certainly didn't want Dani Pedrosa there. He probably expected that the Honda of Marc Marquez would be there.
I think the best Valentino Rossi would have anticipated before this race was to finish behind Lorenzo and Marquez, limit the damage as much as he possibly can. He's closing up now on this battle for 3rd place between Andrea Iannone and Dani Pedrosa. Here's Lorenzo Marquez coming through turn number 9. Dylan.
Well, yeah, it looks like Iannone's actually doing Rossi a favour, holding Pedrosa up a little bit.
Yeah, that's what everybody feared, didn't they? And, you know, how long will that shoulder last? Yeah, there's adrenaline there. We say he's so brave, but it's not going to be easy. We ride with Rossi. Rossi desperate to get by Dani Pedrosa in front of him. Not able to do so. We have a
Marquez.
Marquez is out. Marquez has crashed out of the race for the 2nd year in succession here in Aragon. Marc Marquez out. 21.5 laps to go.
He was just closing in on Jorge Lorenzo. He's absolutely furious with himself, Marc Marquez. This is down into turn number 12. The front end just washing away from Marc Marquez. That's the 5th race crash, believe it or not, of 2015 for the reigning world champion. Jorge Lorenzo now well clear of Andrea Iannone, Dani Pedrosa and Valentino Rossi fighting for second. There we go, the message clear and crystal to Jorge Lorenzo. Marquez out.
Is he happy to see that sign or is he not? It's one way he's happy because Marquez's main rival is out, but two, he's pushing Valentino Rossi. Valentino Rossi could still profit very, very well in this race because he will give it absolutely everything as we ride with him to get past Pedrosa and Iannone.
Not that Valentino Rossi needed any incentive to get by Pedrosa and Iannone, but now he knows with that man there, Marc Marquez, out of this race on lap number 2, that if he can get in front of Pedrosa and Iannone, Pedrosa at the inside of Andrea Iannone at turn number 7. If Rossi can fight his way to the front of this battle, he'll only be losing 5 points to Jorge Lorenzo.
I tell you what, after looking at qualifying and after looking at practice, that would be a massive, massive boost for Valentino Rossi. We ride with Dani Pedrosa. In his face is Andrea Iannone. We're just going to glimpse then. We're back now with a Valentino Rossi. Rossi closing up on his great friend, Andrea Iannone. This is where Iannone had a really big crash just about there last year when he got onto the wet grass. No wet grass this time round. Don't forget, he's still having major problems with that left shoulder. As the race progresses, it will not be easy for Andrea Iannone.
Yeah, I hate to say it, we're only on, what, lap number 3, but this race, in terms of the victory battle, is over as a contest because Jorge Lorenzo is already 2.3 seconds clear now of Dani Pedrosa. Valentino Rossi, he'll have the paint blown off by that Ducati down this long back straight. Here is the race leader, Jorge Lorenzo. Marc Marquez crashed in Argentina, crashed in Mugello, crashed in Barcelona, crashed in Silverstone and out of the race yet again. Unbelievable drama from the world champion.
2.3 seconds they're telling him. Yeah, 2.3 seconds it is for Jorge Lorenzo, but it's the battle for 3rd place that is crucial as far as this World Championship campaign goes. We ride with Rossi. He seems to just be biding his time a little bit at the moment because he knows that he has got time. He knows Marquez is out on the race. Now he closes right up on his great friend Andrea Iannone. No friendship there. Rossi moves into 3rd place.
Great move up the inside of Iannone at turn number 4. Next in his sights for Valentino Rossi's Dani Pedrosa. This is where Rossi crashed in the race last year, up at turn number 7. That crash by Marc Marquez, that's really not done a favour to Jorge Lorenzo because he might have been thinking, well, if I can win this race, I can pick up, what, 9 points back at least on Valentino Rossi. It's 14 points the gap at the moment, with Rossi putting pressure now on Dani Pedrosa. It could be back up to 18.
Yeah, just look at the situation when Marquez was running and where Valentino Rossi is. It's certainly pulling in the way of the 36-year-old 9 times world champion.
Tell you what as well, Nick, Marc Marquez has made some big mistakes in 2015, but the way he reacted after crashing up at turn 12 on that lap, he was absolutely livid with himself. I won't want to be in that Repsol Honda garage when Marc Marquez gets back.
We ride with Valentino Rossi, Dani Pedrosa in front of him. The Honda will probably just have that little bit more grunt as they come out of turn 15. Rossi can bide his time, as long as he doesn't come under any sort of challenge from Andrea Iannone. Down to 3 gears. Seamless gearboxes into turn 16. He's doing it again, isn't he, Valentino Rossi? He's minimising the damage all the time.
These are a massive 4 points, though, for Valentino Rossi in terms of the World Championship. Nobody will need reminding more than the 36-year-old. He knows if he can find a way by Dani Pedrosa, it will be a crucial 20 points because Jorge Lorenzo's long gone up the road. 2.7 seconds now, the lead that Lorenzo has over Pedrosa. This is a good battle going on for 5th place, currently being led by Andrea Dovizioso. Great first few laps from Dovizioso. He started this race way down the order in 13th. He's already up to 5th, ahead of Aleix Espargaro. That's Bradley Smith, Cal Crutchlow, Danilo Petrucci, and then Pol Espargaro back down in 10th place. Pol Espargaro's had a run off somewhere because on the last lap he did a 1:53.0. That was about 4 seconds off the pace, so there was a big mistake somewhere by the Tech 3 Yamaha rider.
Yeah, he was running with his brother, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
Last time we saw it in the picture. So, Rossi, I'm not saying he's biding his time, but he knows what a vital 4 points this is. The lead at the front, 2.7 seconds from Jorge Lorenzo. Big news is that Marc Marquez, dare we say it, has crashed out once again. I think we dare say it. Mistake by him at turn 12. We ride with Pedrosa. Rossi in his face, but there's a long way to go. 18.5 laps. Pedrosa is a race winner here. Pedrosa has finished a couple of times on the podium apart from the race victory. Rossi has only finished on the podium here once, and that's when Pedrosa had that crash with Marc Marquez 2 years ago.
Yeah, Rossi now's got a bit of clear daylight between himself and Andrea Iannone in fourth. The gap through that third split up to 0.6 of a second. It would close up a little bit with that brutal horsepower of the Ducati GP15 down the straight. Here comes Jorge Lorenzo then to complete lap number 5. He's over the line now. Pedrosa under real pressure from Rossi. The gap between Lorenzo and Pedrosa in second up to almost 3 seconds, 2.9 seconds. Andrea Iannone actually on that previous lap, just at his personal best lap of the race, he was 0.2 of a second quicker than Valentino Rossi. Here is Pol Espargaro, who's dropped back from 4th place in the early stages to 10th. And we'll find out why very shortly. Well, there you go.
Turn 7.
Yeah, runs off, missed his braking marker, and that cost him 6 places.
Now he's got to keep calm, hasn't he, Pol Espargaro? So he's got a great record here, qualified quite brilliantly in 4th place. Well, this is where Lorenzo likes to be. Don't say we'll never make a mistake when he's leading a race, because that is really putting the kibosh on it for him. But he is absolutely brilliant in these situations, as we've seen from those Grand Prix victories already this season.
Well, that adrenaline kicking in for Andrea Iannone, because he has closed up ever so slightly on that battle for second place, still being headed by Dani Pedrosa, coming through turns 10 and 11, down in the braking zone to turn 12, where we saw all the drama. Marc Marquez crashing out on the second lap while he was fighting for the lead with Jorge Lorenzo.
The last thing Rossi needs or wants is Andrea Iannone coming back into it, isn't it? Because he just wants to concentrate fully on getting past Dani Pedrosa. We know Andrea Iannone's like Maniac Joe, he will go for it, and there is a sad sight. I don't think I've ever seen him so angry. I remember here in 2010, he got brought down on the first corner by Randy Krummenack, and we had a bit of a teenage tantrum in the middle of the track from Marc Marquez.
Yeah, I think if there was a microphone inside his helmet there, you'd have to be putting your fingers in your ears. The screaming and shouting was so loud, because it wasn't all of his 5 crashes this year as well, Nick. You have to say they've all been unforced errors, haven't they? You know, he's not been caught up in a tangle with anybody else. They've all been mistakes of his own doing.
Iannone is right in there again, isn't he? As I say, that's what Rossi does not want. Rossi perhaps feels it's time to make a move on Dani Pedrosa.
Oh, there's a crash for Alex De Angelis. He just got up the inside of Loris Baz at turn number 7. Front end washes away from the San Marino rider. That's game over for him. Let's have a quick check. Behind Pol Espargaro in 10th, we've got Yoni Hernandez, Scott Redding, Stefan Bradl, Nicky Hayden, Eugene Laverty in the points. There's a really good fight actually going on for 13th place between Bradl, Hayden and Laverty.
Back at the front, Lorenzo opening up the advantage all the way through. This is the battle for second place. Dani Pedrosa still holding the advantage from Valentino Rossi. There you can see Andrea Iannone riding with that dislocated, well, being popped back in that dislocated problem. Right, this is a very, very important second part of the race coming up. Lorenzo will win. Who will be second?
Bradley Smith has made a move on Alex Espargaro. The British rider now back inside the top 6. He's just over a second behind Andrea Dovizioso in 5th. Of course, it's Dovizioso and Smith locked in a really good battle for 5th place overall in the World Championship. There is Andrea Dovizioso, who was really aggressive, really strong and fast in these early laps, because he did come from 13th on the grid. There's Dani Pedrosa, just using that Honda horsepower to streak away from Valentino Rossi down the back straight. Well, here's the most frustrated man in the whole of Spain right now, Marc Marquez.
Yeah, a little wave to the crowd into the garage. Turn 12, big mistake by Marc Marquez.
Yeah, you're just trailing the brakes hard down the hill, loading that front, putting lots of weight. Look at him there, he's so animated, Marc Marquez, and his rage continues for quite some time after that. Why not? Because he knows that was another chance of a victory here squandered. Look at him, I've never seen Marquez so upset and angry after crashing out of a race.
Yeah, furious with one person and one person only, himself.
Yeah, you're just trailing the brakes. It's a tough corner. It's downhill, that turn 12. It's a little bit hard to see just how much it drops away on the TV down into turn 12. You're trailing the brakes all the way to the apex. You're braking hard at lean angle. It is easy to lose the front down in there. Marc Marquez just caught out there a little bit early on while that front tyre was trying to get up to temperature.
Well, the battle continues. It's not raging at the moment. It continues. Rossi still shadowing Danny Pedrosa. 14 points in the championship. It will remain the same, but he could pull back, 20 points for a second place for Valentino Rossi. So there's 4 points up for grabs here, isn't there, for Valentino Rossi?
Yeah, this is where Lorenzo is in his absolute element, isn't it? Clear track in front of him. He's great at just racing against the clock. He's a brilliant time trial. This is a great race, of course, Jorge Lorenzo, but in this scenario, he's pretty much unbeatable.
He's the best, I think.
He
is the best at running a race at the front. It doesn't mean he's going to win the World Championship. Their battle for second place. You know, he just dropped off the pace a little bit more.
When you're half a second behind the 2 fastest riders all weekend, you're starting from 6th place on the grid. You lose 2 seconds on the opening lap to your teammate Jorge Lorenzo. 2nd place of Valentino Rossi. He'll feel like Christmas has come early. It'll feel as good as a win because Rossi probably thought at best he was going to finish 3rd. Still not able to find a way by Danny Pedrosa down to start lap number 9.
Pedrosa actually has closed the gap by about half a second, has he, on Jorge Lorenzo. Now Lorenzo quite lightly is managing the race at the front, but just keep an eye on that time gap because it was over 3 seconds a couple of laps ago.
Yeah, the good sign for Valentino Rossi is the fact that Danny Pedrosa has just put in his personal best lap of the race on lap number 8, a 1:48.451, but Rossi's looking pretty comfortable, you have to say, sitting behind Danny Pedrosa. It looks like they've finally broken the resolve of Andrea Iannone, who slipped over a second back of this battle for 2nd place for the first time in the race. So Pedrosa's pushing really, really hard, setting personal best laps of the race, but he can't break Rossi. And you have to say at the moment, Rossi looking pretty comfortable just sitting on the back of the Repsol Honda.
Yeah, he's not had the easiest time this weekend, Valentino Rossi, but when it comes to what matters, the race, here he is once again off the podium for the first time this season, off the podium for the first time since the Aragon crash last year when he only finished 5th, only 5th. It didn't matter because Jorge Lorenzo crashed out in the rain in Misano, but here he is fighting for 2nd place with Danny Pedrosa. Oh, pretty frustrating, isn't it, for Jorge Lorenzo? You do wonder what he thought when he saw Marquez out. Oh, great, yeah, good for me at the front, but he was going to help me.
Yeah,
and so now he's looking at Danny Pedrosa to help him.
It's going to be an easier last 22 laps in terms of the fight this afternoon against Marc Marquez, but not easier to win the World Championship against Valentino Rossi. Valentino Rossi's in a position now where he doesn't need to take any unnecessary risks to find a way through by Danny Pedrosa. He can just sit there and bide his time because he knows that Lorenzo's long gone into the distance, 2.6 seconds clear. So Rossi, he doesn't have to take silly risks to make that 2nd place move. He can just bide his time, see where Pedrosa's strong, work out where the Yamaha's perhaps better, see if he's saving his tyres better than Danny Pedrosa.
Bradley Smith and Aleix Espargaro seem to be closing up. They're involved in their own battle, but they're closing up on Andrea Dovizioso. Good battle this between the British rider and the Spanish rider. And good to see Suzuki back in the fray a little bit with Aleix Espargaro, who finished 2nd here last year in difficult circumstances against Bradley Smith, who finished 2nd in Misano in difficult circumstances. We ride with Bradley Smith, currently running in 6th place. He said at the start, 6th place he could get, despite not qualifying as well as he had done in recent weeks.
Yeah, just off this battle for 6 is Cal Crutchlow in 8th. He's just under a second behind Aleix Espargaro on the Suzuki. There's Crutchlow just coming through that reverse corkscrew. He's got Danilo Petrucci behind him on the Pramac Ducati. Petrucci's a further 0.6 of a second back. And there's Pol Espargaro desperately trying to claw his way back into top 6 contention after that mistake at turn number 7. There's number 44. You briefly saw him at the back of your picture in 10th.
It's Cal Crutchlow on the podium here last year, of course. He's only podium with Ducati. That rain-hit race, great battle between him and Aleix Espargaro, went over the lines, elbows out, didn't they? The battle for 2nd place, and it was Aleix Espargaro who took that 2nd place. Here's Danilo Petrucci running in 9th. Whoa, he's not running in 9th anymore. That will be the first time, unless he gets back on and picks up points, that he's failed to score points this season for Danilo Petrucci.
Yeah, that's a real shame for Danilo Petrucci. He was just closing that gap in 8th place to Cal Crutchlow, losing the front down at turn 14. You can see how hard it is to pick up one of those 1000cc prototype MotoGP bikes when it's buried deep in the gravel. Yeah, you're just trailing the brake quite deep into that turn number 14. The front end just washing away from Petrucci, so he's well, potentially could get back in the race to finish it. The last time actually Danilo Petrucci, this shows what a great season and great run of form Petrucci's been on. The last time he DNF'd in a race was almost 1 year ago in Malaysia.
Is Lorenzo, the concentration required to run a bike of this power and this force on your own must be so hard. It must be easier to run it like this when you're involved in a battle. Must be hard for Danny Pedrosa, because what Rossi does so well, he pushes people from behind and causes them to make mistakes, doesn't he? He loves doing that. Push. Just occasionally let them know you're there. Just keep pushing. You know, can you run this pace? I'm going to get past you. Danny Pedrosa is very experienced, but this is classic Rossi. As you said, he doesn't want to take any big risks, and it wouldn't be the end of the world if he did finish in 3rd place, would it?
No, but he knows that those 4 points, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but they are 4 absolutely priceless points for Valentino Rossi. Lorenzo's lead now in this race is over 3 seconds for the first time, so it's a pretty comfortable advantage.
He was managing it, wasn't he? He was managing it without a doubt. We were trying to, I was trying to make a bit of drama. There's no drama there, I can assure you.
There's Andrea Iannone, credit to the Italian, he's really having to grit his teeth now. We're 10 laps, we're just about to complete lap 11. This was the time in the race where Iannone really feared that he'd start feeling the pain. The fatigue will be creeping in as well, of course. Not only is he recovering from that dislocated shoulders, Rossi having another little glance up the inside of Pedrosa into turn number 1. Yeah, Andrea Iannone, not only has he got the pain and the weakness in the dislocated left shoulder, he's got the fatigue, of course, creeping in for overcompensating on the right. There was Marquez, he did get away pretty well off the line, the initial launch. But then he just looked like when he went for 2nd gear, just didn't have the drive, and Lorenzo was able to sweep through up the inside, as was Andrea Iannone.
Rider, this is with Lorenzo. Yeah, there's Marquez, as you can see, there's Andrea Iannone.
It was a good start by Pol Espargaro as well, just behind Marc Marquez in 4th place. And this was at turn number 13. This was on the first lap, because on the 2nd lap, Marc Marquez didn't get this far. He crashed at the previous corner, turn number 12, and that's why Jorge Lorenzo is 3.2 seconds clear of Danny Pedrosa in this Aragon Grand Prix. And Marc Marquez thinking about another race crash, his 5th, believe it or not, in 14 races so far this year.
Problems here for Carl Abraham.
Poor Carl Abraham.
It looks like
he just can't carry on.
It's the foot again, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Of course, it's been a nightmare since that crash he had in Barcelona way back in.
And this circuit, there's such a lot of hard braking. We have to force your weight through the foot pegs. There's lots of fast changes of direction. That was that left foot that he damaged for the first time in FP4 way back in Barcelona. He thought it was a pretty small injury. It's turned out to be an absolute nightmare. You could just see there the amount of pain that he was in. He's barely able to weight bear on that left leg, and this crash was, what, 4 months ago? He's told us in an interview recently on MotoGP.com it could be 6 months to a year before he's fully fit. So yeah, poor old Carl Abraham gritted his teeth for as long as he possibly could, but back in the pits.
Rossi's sizing up Pedrosa at turn 1. A couple of times he's done it now. It doesn't mean, of course, for Valentino Rossi that's where he's going to make the move, but for the first time he has sized it up. Well done, Andrea Iannone. Can he keep this sort of pace up throughout? He's not involved in any sort of scrap at the moment to get the adrenaline pumping through. But it's a brave ride. I tell you, it's a close old battle now between Andrea Dovizioso and Bradley Smith.
I was just going to say the exact same thing, because when Bradley Smith took 6th place from Aleix Espargaro a couple of laps ago, he was 1.1 seconds behind Andrea Dovizioso. Well, Smith's found a 2nd, because that gap is now just 1/10 of a second. Aleix Espargaro 6/10 clear of Cal Crutchlow. Danilo Petrucci's crash has, of course, moved Pol Espargaro up to 9th. His Pramac Ducati teammate then up into 10th.
We ride with Bradley Smith, currently running in 6th place. We'll probably get a glimpse somewhere of Andrea Dovizioso. Smith, a little bit of a mistake. Runs it wide at turn 1.
That's a shame for Bradley Smith. I think he was just caught out by Andrea Dovizioso, just getting it a bit out of shape on the brakes going into the first corner. Yes, so all the hard work that Bradley Smith did to get too close to challenging Andrea Dovizioso for 5th. He's now dropped back down into 8th place because Aleix Espargaro and Cal Crutchlow were able to sweep through as he ran wide at the first corner. There's the difference in the horsepower down that straight. You can just see the Honda. It really does have that grunt coming out of turn number 15. You're coming out of there in 2nd gear, going all the way up to 6th gear to about 340 kilometres an hour. And the horsepower of the Honda just giving Pedrosa that little bit of an edge.
Yeah, gap now 3.3 seconds as 10 laps to go for Jorge Lorenzo. Rossi closes up once again in turn 1. We ride with Rossi. That's Pedrosa in front of him. 4 precious World Championship points up for grabs between 2nd place and 3rd place.
I suppose it's 1-1 in the recent dogfights with Rossi and Pedrosa. Pedrosa beat him into 2nd place in the Saxon Ring, and then Rossi got revenge in Indianapolis, didn't he, when they were having a real good fight for 3rd and 4th place.
It's Johnny and Anderson, Scott Redding, 10th and 11th respectively. Here is Scott Redding. It's that amazing 3rd place in Misano when he crashed in the gravel. Rain came in, went out, came back in again. It's not going to happen this time round. He wanted a top 10 finish. In fact, he's fighting for a top 10 finish with Johnny Hernandez on that Pramac Ducati, who came through qualifying 1 into qualifying 2 yesterday.
There's Jorge Lorenzo down at turn number 12. He wouldn't have known at the time on that lap 2 that Lorenzo was job was about to get a little bit easy with Marc Marquez crashing out. There you can see, look at Lorenzo's consistent pace on that race run there through lap number 13. He's just lapping around that mid to high 148. Just such consistency from Lorenzo. Look at that, lap 8, 148.653, then a 148.7, a 148.6, 148.8, 148.7 again, and a 148.9. This is the metronomic consistency which we see coming in from Lorenzo, which, as we've said before, we've touched on it so many times, that when he can get away at the front and he's unchallenged, he's unbeatable.
Super replay, turn 14 for Jorge Lorenzo. That dry stone wall behind him. It's going to be 25 precious points.
Guys, I'm going to have to butt in. I'm very sorry. I'm down here with Marc Marquez. Marc, very frustrating start for you. Obviously, this crash in turn number 12. Are you okay? And tell us what happened.
Yeah. Today, I just need to say sorry to the team, sorry to the fans, because it was completely my mistake. I had the bike we worked really well for try to win the race, but yeah, the start was not perfect, but okay. And then already on the 2nd lap I was closer to Jorge, but there maybe the wind was pushing a little bit, and yeah, it was completely my fault.
Thank you very much, Marc.
Well, being honest anyway.
Yeah, well, we said it was an unforced error, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's about as down and deflated as I've heard Marc Marquez for many a long time.
Absolutely right. So there we go. 14 points will separate Valentino Rossi and Jorge Lorenzo. If Rossi can get up into 2nd place, that will be just 10.
Back with this great fight for 2nd place between Dani Pedrosa and Valentino Rossi. It's through this 3rd split coming up now, where Dani Pedrosa gains 0.2 of a second over Valentino Rossi on the last couple of laps. That's all down to this drag down this long back straight. Pedrosa 0.2 faster on the last couple of laps in this section than Valentino Rossi. That's why this gap ekes out. Rossi knows that if he's going to take that 2nd place, he needs to be a few bike lengths clear of Dani Pedrosa on that final lap, because that grunt from the Honda will just blitz past Rossi on the straight. Here's Dovizioso still just about holding on to that 5th place. He's under real pressure again from Aleix Espargaro. Great job by the factory Suzuki rider, because coming down this back straight, the Suzuki will be getting absolutely hammered by those Ducatis and the Yamahas around it, and the factory Honda as well.
There is Aleix Espargaro in turn. Reminder of last year, really, when they had a great race for 2nd place. Cal Crutchlow right behind him now on that LCR Honda. It was Bradley Smith that was leading this bunch, but he ran wide at turn 1. He's trying to get back into the battle. He's trying to bring his teammate, Pol Espargaro, who made a mistake earlier in the race, up at turn 7. Should be a very, very interesting last 7.5 laps. Some very important Championship points up for grabs.
Yeah, it will be, because Bradley Smith was quicker on the last lap than Aleix Espargaro and Cal Crutchlow in front of him. The gap between Crutchlow and Smith, 0.8 of a second.
Lorenzo disappearing at the front. He has a big advantage of 3.2 seconds as he chases his 6th win of the season. This is a battle for 5th place.
Just going to say, Nick Rossi's as close as he's been to for Pedrosa for a while in the second split. The gap under 1/10 of a second. Rossi 0.09 of a second back of Pedrosa in that second spot, that crucial second place. 4 precious points up for grabs for Valentino Rossi. There is Andrea Dovizioso. We said how aggressive he was at the start of the race, coming all the way up from 13th. He made up 6 places alone on the very first lap with Andrea Dovizioso.
Cal Crutchlow looking, well, not for a repeat of the result last year when he finished 3rd, but looking for a decent end of the season. It's been a difficult year for him on the LCR Honda. We're back with the race leader, Jorge Lorenzo. Lonely old ride for him, well over 3 seconds in front of Dani Pedrosa. 7 laps to go, but what is happening behind Rossi again? Just sizes up Dani Pedrosa at turn 1. They start the climb up the hill through 3, up towards 4. He hasn't made a move yet.
No, he hasn't made a move just yet. Up to turn number 3, Dani Pedrosa now. Flick it left through 4. As we said, Rossi can afford to just bide his time. He doesn't look like he's having to really grit his teeth and hang into this fight with Dani Pedrosa for 2nd place. They're running almost identical lap times on these sequence of laps. A little bit further down the field, there's a really exciting battle going on for the last point scoring place and top open class honours. It's being held at the moment by Eugene Laverty. He's 1/10 of a second clear of his teammate Nicky Hayden. Only half a second back of that is Jack Miller, and he's under real pressure from Loris Baz. So an interesting fight for the best open class.
We arrive at Dani Pedrosa in 2nd place. We keep waiting for that blue Yamaha to appear.
It's
right
coming.
On the outside or up the inside. This is one of the favourite places, down towards turn 12. This is where Marquez crashed very early on in the race. Pedrosa still holds the advantage through 13 and 14. And he powers this Honda out of turn 15. There it is, that brings him onto the back straight. Rossi's not going to be able to take him in. This is where the gap just tends to open up a little bit. Then Rossi closes up on the brakes as they come into 16. Flat out, 340 kilometres an hour, 215 miles an hour, then down 3 gears into 16. This is where Rossi closes, and every time he's been very close at turn 1. He's going to have to make a move soon. There will be 6 laps to go.
Yeah, it looks like Rossi's got much better edge grip through that turn number 16 and 17. He closes right up again on the brakes to Dani Pedrosa. No attack yet. He's not even thought about showing Pedrosa a front wheel. Pedrosa will know full well that he's right there. He won't only be reading his pit wall, but he'll be hearing Valentino Rossi right behind him in front of this crowd of just over 67,000 fans.
Terrific battle this. Well, obviously 9 times world champion Valentino Rossi, 3 times world champion Dani Pedrosa. They've been in this situation before. Dylan.
Well, no, an interesting bit of insight as to why Valentino is also losing out down that straight. Not just a horsepower thing, but his ex-mentor, Alberto Puig, I was speaking with him during the week, and he says one thing that Dani still does better than any other rider on this grid. They say, you watch how he picks that bike up out of those corners. He's on that fat part of the tyre a lot earlier than Valentino, so he can get more drive down at the start.
Rossi closing all the time. Rossi is going to make a move soon. 5.5 laps to go. 4 absolutely crucial World Championship points at stake. At the moment, 14 points between Rossi and Lorenzo in the championship. That could go up to 18 if Rossi can get past him.
Rossi needs to go, though, with enough time to break Dani Pedrosa. He'll have to go like the 3 or 4 laps to go, then try and gap Pedrosa so he doesn't leave himself open to an attack down this back straight in the last couple of laps. As Dylan said, he's great at picking that factory Honda up, his Dani Pedrosa. He has got the horsepower, and of course, he's a lot lighter than Valentino Rossi as well, so body weight also a factor as Pedrosa, that featherweight flyer down the back straight through 16 and 17. You can just see the Yamaha's got slightly better edge grip through that corner for Valentino Rossi. He's able to close up now through turn 17. 5 laps to go. Lorenzo leads by over 3 seconds. The gap between Pedrosa and Rossi, just what, 1 or 2 bike lengths maximum. Andrea Iannone still in a fairly lonely and pretty painful, I'm sure, right now, 4th place.
Yeah, where's Rossi going to make the move? And I think you're so right. He daren't make it too late there. Here he comes, Rossi up the inside. Yeah. Rossi into 2nd place. Pedrosa fights back as they come through. Listen to the crowd. That's turn 5. And Pedrosa retakes Rossi as they come up at turn 7.
Aggressive from Pedrosa. Rossi retaliates again at turn 7. Does he? No. Pedrosa cuts across the factory Yamaha's nose down to the reverse corkscrew. Rossi versus Pedrosa for this vital 2nd place. It's Pedrosa that holds the sway through turns 8 and 9.
Yeah, first time he's shown that he's going to have a go. Is he going to have a go up at turn 12? Here we go. We're round 10. We're round 11. Rossi really, really close to Danny Pedrosa on the brakes for the left-hander. I don't think he's close enough. Full marks to Danny Pedrosa. He aggressively fall back, didn't he?
Well, he knows exactly what Rossi's trying to do. Rossi's trying to get ahead of Danny Pedrosa, then give himself 3 or 4 laps to make that crucial break so he can't be slipstream and blitz by on this back straight. Danny Pedrosa, he's a wily old campaigner, is Pedrosa. And this we'll see now. We'll get a great example of Pedrosa and how he can dart away from Rossi's Yamaha down this back straight.
That's exactly what he's doing. As we say, top speed, 350 kilometres an hour. He does get away. Rossi will then close on the braking. Seems to have that little bit better edge grip as they come into 16 and 17. So Rossi's had a look at him a couple of times at turn 1. We're back with the race leader, Jorge Lorenzo. Here we go. Is he close enough? I don't think he is. Rossi may pop out now at turn 1, side by side. Here comes Rossi. Rossi up the inside of Pedrosa. Rossi into first, 2nd place. Can he make it stick as they come through turn 2? No, he can't. Twice he's tried and twice Pedrosa's fought back.
Turn 1 on this lap for Rossi, a failed overtake. Turn 4 last time round. This is where Rossi made a move on the last lap. He's up the inside of Pedrosa yet again. Pedrosa sweeps back just as he did on the last lap. Nudges up Valentino Rossi. Pedrosa, really, really aggressive stuff from the number 26. Pedrosa not going to let down Valentino Rossi have this 2nd place without an almighty fight.
Up towards turn 7 they come. This is where Rossi crashed out last year. They run along this plateau to turn 8. Difficult place to overtake. Valentino Rossi comes in line as they plunge down the reverse corkscrew. 3.5 laps to go. We ride with Rossi. What a battle for 2nd place, and well done Danny Pedrosa. He's fought back on 2 occasions when Rossi's got in front.
Who's kept their rear tyre the best for these crucial final 3.5 laps. It was all about the left-hand side of the tyre. They really do stress it, certainly coming through this section, turn 9, 10 and 11. Rossi was talking about it yesterday. Can you manage that left-hand side of the tyre for this crucial end of the race? He's not going to find a way through on Pedrosa down into 14 and 15. He certainly won't be able to use any Yamaha horsepower to drag by the Honda down the back straight.
There you go. He starts to disappear down this back straight. Listen to those seamless gearboxes. Up through the gearboxes to 6th place. Absolutely on it. They're down 3 gears. And this is where Rossi closes. He has that better grip through 16. They come up over the rise to 17. He's going to have another go at turn 1.
He's tried it at turn 1 on the last lap. He's tried it twice at turn 4. Each time Pedrosa has fought back. Rossi now, can he make the move again on the brakes into turn 1? No, Pedrosa too strong. That Repsol Honda just bucking and weaving under the brakes. Danny Pedrosa holds firm yet again. We're coming up to turn number 4. This is where Rossi's tried twice already.
This is Andrea Iannone running a brave 4th place with that dislocated left shoulder. Pedrosa hanging in there. Rossi's been in front on a couple of occasions. Pedrosa has immediately fought back. They're through 4 and 5, 6 coming up as they go down, and then they come up towards turn 7. 2.5 laps left. 2 great MotoGP riders fighting it out in the sun.
Yeah, Lorenzo won't know this is all unfolding behind him, but if this stays like it is, he'll have to give Danny Pedrosa a real big pat on the back at the end of this race, because Pedrosa is putting up a great fight, and these are vital World Championship points up for grabs. Vamos for Danny Pedrosa, come on.
I don't think he can be giving it any more than he is at the moment. Through 10 and 11, they plunge down towards 12. Rossi not close enough this time round. This is where Marquez crashed out on the 2nd lap.
These are a crucial last 2.5 laps for Valentino Rossi in the 2015 MotoGP World Championship. Will he go to Japan leading Jorge Lorenzo by 14 points, or will he seize back another 4 points and lead by 18? We're going to find out very soon in the next 5 minutes. He can't get close enough to Pedrosa on this back straight.
Here is Lorenzo into 16, as you say, totally unaware of what is happening behind him. He's not fussed. All he can do is win 25 points. But it is 4 points could be a massive difference when we arrive in Valencia in the first week of November for the final round of the championship. 2 laps to go. Lorenzo crosses the line. 3-second advantage. Pedrosa holds the advantage. Here comes Rossi into turn 1. Now, can he make it stick this time round? No, he can't.
He's in too hot again. He couldn't quite hold the inside line again through turn number 2. So that's the 4th time now that Valentino Rossi, twice at turn 1, twice at turn 4, he's got through, but he's come under instant attack again from Dani Pedrosa. He's not close enough for a lunge at turn number 4.
3 times now he's led the way. 3 times Pedrosa has fought back. They're up at the top end of the circuit. They're coming up towards turn 7. 1.5 laps to go. 2 great Grand Prix riders fighting it out. No quarter asked, no quarter given. If there's any better motorsport than this, I've never seen it.
Rossi now close enough to be lining up a pass on the brakes down into turn number 12, where we saw Marquez crash earlier on in the race. Valentino Rossi, if he gets through though on Dani Pedrosa here on the brakes down into turn 12, will he just get blasted back on the back straight by the power of the Honda? Is Rossi close enough? They know what this 4 points means in terms of the World Championship. Rossi wasn't close enough to attack at turn 12. He's not close enough at 13. It's going to be a dramatic final lap for second place.
Pedrosa still leads the way through 14. Then they're going to flick it left, coming onto the back straight. And this is where Pedrosa has the advantage. And this is where he will have the advantage on the last lap. Pulls away from Rossi once again as they race down this 1 kilometre long straight towards turn 16.
Rossi is going to have to try and make a move on Dani Pedrosa at turn number 1. He's tried it twice already and failed. He runs in too hot and then runs wide, allows Pedrosa to sweep back through. Jorge Lorenzo starts the last lap. A 5th Grand Prix win of the season coming up for Lorenzo. Now here comes Rossi. This is a crucial first corner. He's not close enough. Dani Pedrosa really late on the brakes. Will it be all about turn 4, turn number 12?
Through turn 2 they come. Not the end of the world for Valentino Rossi if he finishes 3rd, but he wants those 4 World Championship points. He's lining him up now. Here comes Rossi up the inside. He's made it stick this time. There's nowhere for Pedrosa to go. He's slammed the door in his face, Valentino Rossi. Pedrosa knows those. He's got the grunt out of turn 15. Listen to the crowd. Here comes Pedrosa again up the inside.
Brilliant from Dani Pedrosa. Rossi off left foot off the foot peg. He was almost leaning there on Dani Pedrosa. This is as aggressive as we've seen Dani Pedrosa for many a year. Valentino Rossi now has lost crucial ground in this fight for second place. Pedrosa in charge. He comes through turn number 9.
I think that is it.
Yeah.
I think the second half of the lap is where Dani Pedrosa is so strong. Valentino Rossi has given it absolutely everything, but this is as good as we've seen Dani Pedrosa ride for a long, long time.
As good and as aggressive as we've seen for a long time, because that move at turn number 7, there wasn't a lot of room up the inside of Valentino Rossi, who thought he'd made second place secure with a great move up the inside of Pedrosa at turn number 14. Rossi now, it's going to be a lunge up the inside at 15. Pedrosa will cut it back though. It's going to be a horsepower shootout down the back straight. The Honda will be the favourite. Rossi looks like he's blown it.
Yeah, he couldn't do any more than what he did there, Valentino Rossi. Pedrosa surely is going to finish in second place. At the start and finish line, they prepare for the arrival of Jorge Lorenzo. Pedrosa is going to finish in second place. Oh, what a battle. Jorge Lorenzo, though, wins here in Motorland Aragon.
Great second place for Dani Pedrosa, a priceless win for Jorge Lorenzo, but what about in terms of the championship picture? That second place for Dani Pedrosa ahead of Valentino Rossi, a brave fourth for Andrea Iannone. Great fight for 5th place going on between Dovizioso and Aleix Espargaro. Dovizioso gets it from Aleix Espargaro back inside the top 6. Crutchlow 7th, Bradley Smith 8th. Pol Espargaro 9th, but those 4 points that Rossi lost in that battle with Dani Pedrosa, they could be absolutely crucial come the final reckoning. 14 points now, the deficit as we head to the flyaways.
It's almost like he's won the race, Dani Pedrosa, and he hasn't. This championship is far, far from over. 14 points now between Lorenzo and Rossi.
It's not very often, is it, as well, that you see Valentino Rossi come off second best in a straight fight with another rival.
That's absolutely right. The height of the battle. Dani Pedrosa riding, well, not the race of his life, but certainly a MotoGP race we've not seen him ride for a long, long time. Lorenzo wins, but Pedrosa fights off the challenge of Valentino Rossi. Game on for Motegi in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, and here was Valentino Rossi. That's all he could do. Have a lunge up the inside of Pedrosa at turn number 15. See if he could try and disrupt Pedrosa's rhythm or his line. Dani Pedrosa was just able, though, to cut it back on his normal line, and he's known all race long that he's got the horsepower to blast down that straight. Rossi, well, he still does lead the World Championship, but 9 points. Jorge Lorenzo took out of Rossi in that race. That's as good as I've seen Dani Pedrosa ride for a long, long time in the MotoGP World Championship. He still hasn't claimed a victory since Brno last year, but that was a fantastic performance. Congratulations from his crew chief, Roman Aurin. And we can't emphasise enough, Nick, just what a massive, massive second place that was for Pedrosa in terms of this battle between Lorenzo and Rossi for the championship.
As you say, many people usually come out second best with a head-to-head fight with Valentino Rossi. Yeah, look at Dani Pedrosa. So he should get the applause of the crowd. First man to shake his hand should be Jorge Lorenzo, to be honest with you. I should think he probably will. Look at this, the height of them, just breathtaking.
Yeah, I think if I recall rightly, Rossi tried 6 times, maybe 7 times in that race. 7 times or 6 times he did pass Pedrosa, but he was like a little terrier with a bone, wasn't he, Dani Pedrosa? He just wasn't going to give it up. They were so close. Oh, that was coming through turn number 7. Valentino Rossi, you can't see there. He's got his left foot off the foot peg. There was probably just the slightest of touches there, but it was all hard and very, very fair. Jorge Lorenzo was in complete control of that race once Marquez crashed out right here at turn number 12. Turn number 12 here on the second lap. 60th Grand Prix win in all classes for Jorge Lorenzo. The 6th win of the year, and all 6 have come in Lorenzo style. And it's Motorland. It's Lorenzo land for Lorenzo.
Man from Mallorca wins the race, Valentino Rossi. He could have done no more than that, and I think that's what he's saying. That was some race. I bet he loved every minute of that course. He wanted to finish in second place. He looks a bit disappointed, but what a show. And Andre Iannone, 4th place, and riding alone for a lot of the time with that shoulder. But Lorenzo's the hero of the hour, but look at Dani Pedrosa. That was absolutely superb. And that's what it's about.
Yeah, brilliant.
That's what it's about. Fair fight. They gave it absolutely everything. And Dani Pedrosa came out on top. 2
famous old rivals, of course. They've raged battle many times this MotoGP World Championship since 2006. We just caught a brief glimpse of the top open class rider coming into Parc Ferme, and that was, for the first time in 2015, Eugene Laverty. Great job by Laverty. He just took it on the line from Nicky Hayden by 900ths of a second. So point scoring finish for Laverty and Nicky Hayden.
Well, Lorenzo, the only rider not back in Parc Ferme, you can't blame him. 6th Grand Prix win of the season, his 60th Grand Prix victory. But this will be a talking for a long time. An amazing battle between Rossi and Pedrosa. Andrea Dovizioso did a decent job in 5th place. He is still 6th in the World Championship. He's close to 4 points on Bradley Smith. Bradley Smith was running well, but then made a mistake at turn 1. Found himself in the end down in 8th place. Lorenzo celebrates. 75 points up for grabs in just 2 weeks, starting at Motegi in 2 weeks' time. We then go to Phillip Island, Australia in 3 weeks. Sepang in Malaysia in 4 weeks' time. It couldn't be closer, could it? It could not be closer.
It's a double boost, though, for Jorge Lorenzo. Not only has he won for the 6th time this season, but he knows that Dani Pedrosa held off Valentino Rossi in that fight for 2nd place. So 9 points clawed back. Pretty happy with that. And he's about to pick up the winner's trophy that he helped design himself, didn't he? So he knows what that means. Not only was it his own victory, but as well, those 4 points that Dani Pedrosa took off Rossi. We can't speak enough about how pivotal that could be in this championship battle. 14 points now. Rossi 2-6-3, Lorenzo 2-4-9. And when you look at the amount of podium finishes that these guys have had, there's some experience up there. Valentino Rossi, that was his 209th Grand Prix podium, 138th for Dani Pedrosa, and 131st for Jorge Lorenzo. What a record those three have had.
Well, we spoke to the organisers of the Valencia Grand Prix, the final round of the championship, and they said, buy your tickets, it's selling out fast. I think they've probably all gone this afternoon, I should imagine. What a showdown that is going to be. And certainly we got some new names in the mix, so haven't we? Dani Pedrosa rides like that in every race. He's going to cause these Yamaha riders some major, major problems. And who knows where it's going to end up. The real loser today, Marc Marquez, crashing out in just the 2nd lap of the race. So you should celebrate. Fantastic win for Jorge Lorenzo.
Yeah, 2nd successive victory here, of course, at Motorland Aragon.
Valentino Rossi, here he comes. I think he's probably come to speak in a minute to Dylan. Yeah. It was tight, wasn't it, Valentino Rossi? But what some entertainment with this man. As good as we've seen this season, I think that battle for 2nd place.
Yeah, great to see Dani Pedrosa fighting like that at the front. We weren't sure after the opening round in Qatar whether his career was actually finished, did we? But he's been, he showed there's plenty of fight in the old dog yet for Dani Pedrosa. He had those arm pump issues, of course, at the start of the year, missed the next 3 rounds after Qatar. Wasn't sure whether he'd ever be able to ride at his full potential again. Well, he emphatically delivered that answer this afternoon. And as we said, you don't very often see in a straight shootout Valentino Rossi coming off 2nd best. No wonder Jorge Lorenzo's happy with that. Thank you very much, mate. I really appreciate that.
Well, you said they would nearly build a wall between them in the press conferences, didn't they? They got on so badly, but
Well, the King of Spain used to be the mediator between those two, didn't he?
Here is Valentino Rossi talking to Dylan.
Valentino, you're still leading the championship, but the talk is about your amazing fight with Dani in those 5 laps. You tried it 3 times in turn 5. You made it stick at the end. Did you think that was maybe it?
Yes, I try everything, unfortunately. But Dani was able to overtake me another time in the next corner. And after I try another time, but he was able to come back. So anyway, I'm happy because it's a podium, because it's a good race. Comparing to the practice, we improve a lot our pace. I know that was difficult to try to beat Dani because Dani have a very good pace. But I try, and I'm not very happy because I need that 5 point more, and I arrive in 2nd place. But today was not possible, and anyway, is a good result.
Thank you, Vale.
Just sets it up, doesn't it, for the next 4 races. You know, and Dani Pedrosa rides like that in every race. Who knows where it's going? Here is Dani Pedrosa.
Well, Dani, that looked like the most difficult 2nd place of your career. Great fight there with Valentino. What was going through your mind with him behind you all the time?
Well, it was really hard to focus on keeping the lap time, but also closing the doors because Vale in many corners he was faster. So I was trying not to lose too much speed. At the same time, I was trying not to give too much room. So it was really hard at the last 10 laps because he started trying to get the 2nd place, and then I knew at the last laps I had a little bit less grip because I can feel all the time his engine behind on the exit. But you know, I tried to fight. I tried to stay in front because I knew it was the key to finish 2nd. So finally, good battle because I don't know how many times we overtook each other, but it was nice to arrive to the end every lap and finish 2nd today here in front of the fans.
Thank you very much, Dani.
Yeah, well done, Dani Pedrosa. That was one hell of a ride, and he certainly has helped his great rival in the past, Jorge Lorenzo. Here is Jorge Lorenzo, though. He's won the race.
Well, Jorge, you told us in Misano you prefer to be the shark. Well, today you were out front. You knew once Marquez was out, you had to keep that rhythm. And how tough was it to stay concentrated?
Well, as always, I make a good start, as usual. So my strategy was to ride at the maximum. It was well, because I think Marquez was quite at the limit to follow me. I think in the second lap he recovered some gap, but I didn't expect his crash, no? And when I saw on my board that his crash, I breathed much more deep. But anyway, I have Danny 2.7, but then I couldn't open so much more gap, no? He stayed there, 3.0, 3.2, and I really needed to push all the race to keep this distance, no?
Thank you very much, Jorge. Congratulations.
Yeah, 6th Grand Prix of the win of the season for Jorge Lorenzo. 14 points between him and Valentino Rossi in their battle for the championship. 4 rounds to go. Been a great day's racing, isn't it? In all 3 classes, but that race for second place is as good as you can get between the very, very best riders in the world.
As you saw, a 60th Premier Class victory for Jorge Lorenzo. Or a 60th career victory, I should say. A 39th in his MotoGP career. It was a little bit of an easier experience than he would have anticipated. He admitted there when Marquez, when he realised Marquez had crashed on the second lap. He was already over 2 seconds clear of the chasing pack, but it's still a difficult experience to try and keep your concentration with all the pressure and tension of the World Championship. Jorge Lorenzo knows that one more mistake and it was probably going to be game over for his championship challenge. Valentino Rossi, he could not have done any more to have taken that second place from Dani Pedrosa. I'm sure the social media are buzz with that great battle for second place. Let us know on Facebook and Twitter. Hashtag Pedrosa versus Rossi. Hashtag Aragon GP. It was the battle of the race.
It certainly was. But it's so rightly say, Lorenzo, typical victory. But from so early on, he was leading the way and he had to keep that utter concentration. Championship permutations in his mind. Yeah, he said he breathed a big sigh of relief when he knew that Marquez was out of the race, but probably was proceeding a bit longer. He said, well, I wouldn't mind him in there now, just to push Valentino Rossi back a little bit. Championship is far from over. It is absolutely poised. I'd say it's so balanced, it's hard, evenly balanced. It's hard to say who thinks going to do it, don't you?
Yeah, I put my crystal ball away a long time ago, and every time I made a prediction, it just went horribly wrong. There is Valentino Rossi, back on the podium after that 5th place in Misano, but he had nothing for his Movistar Yamaha teammate, Jorge Lorenzo. 6th win of the year, and that gap now 14 points between Lorenzo and Rossi as we head off to the Twin Ring Motegi in Japan. Massive race, of course, for the factories, Honda and Yamaha. It's a personal battle between these two. It's also a big battle between 2 giants of motorcycle manufacturing, Honda and Yamaha, desperate to win their home Grand Prix.
As Yamaha would take the Constructors' Award, Valentino Rossi back on the podium. He still leads that championship by 14 points. 3rd place. But what a ride by Dani Pedrosa into 2nd place. What a battle between him and Rossi.
There is Jorge Lorenzo for the 2nd year in a row, victorious here in Aragon. Crucial victory for the Spaniard.
Trophy time. Great day for Yamaha, 1st and 3rd. Vital points for Valentino Rossi. He would have wanted 4 more, but he still leads the championship. Surely that's the main thing. 3rd place for Valentino Rossi equals his best ever Aragon result.
Dani Pedrosa in 2nd, coming back into that fight for 5th place in the World Championship. He's now only 14 points behind Bradley Smith and 10 behind Andrea Dovizioso. What a 2nd place, probably the most hard-fought and deserved 2nd place of Dani Pedrosa's career.
Yeah, as good as we've seen Dani Pedrosa, certainly this season, all the problems he had with his arm pump, back to his very, very best. Brilliant second place. But in the cold light of day, is the man that's closing in on Valentino Rossi in their title chase. Jorge Lorenzo wins for the 6th time this season. His second successive win at Aragon. 14 points behind Valentino Rossi in the championship.
There it is, the traditional Lorenzo leap when he's victorious. I think when Danny Pedrosa got that runners-up trophy, the loudest round of applause for him came from Jorge Lorenzo. He was properly
clapping
for
a drink tonight, mate. Terrific stuff. And great sportsmanship between Pedrosa and Rossi after as fierce a battle you would see on 260 brake horsepower motorcycles you'd ever want to witness. We can't wait. It may be a long trip to Motegi. We will wish we were going there now, because what is going to happen in Japan when we arrive for round 15 of the championship? It's getting closer and closer.